Hi there, thank you so much for joining us. With me on the panel today, we have Raewyn Elsgood, the Sports Chaplaincy New South Wales Coordinator. We've got psychologist and teacher Colette Smart and social researcher Mark McCrindle. Thank you all so much for being here.
Nice to hear.
Colette, let's start with you. This idea of community, seeking out connection, why is that something that we want in life?
I think as human beings we're made for relationship. I think we're made for connection, for all the wonderful things that our technology has given us. We still need that face-to-face, skin-to-skin contact, which we see in kangaroo care, given to preemie babies. But I just think as human beings, our community gives us that sense of connection. And I always talk about this incredible study. It's an 80-year-old study that was originally just done on men and blue-collar workers. They were also uni students at the time. And they wanted to know by the time they got to the end of their lives, what would lead to happiness. They didn't know. And so they predicted it might be your big house, it might be your career success. Really at the end of the study, well, it's not the end, they're still going, is love equals happiness, full stop. Really, what that says is connection. It's not about the amount of people you're connected with, it's really just the quality, but it's connection.
And Mark, one of the ways we find connection is through sporting groups, through social clubs, etc. From the research you've done, what kind of place do those sorts of things have in our sense of community connection?
Well, an increasingly important place because we are so disconnected. The fastest growing household type in Australia is the solo person household, people living alone. Partly that's a factor of an ageing profile, but it highlights the need for us to be proactive in connecting. We also see, particularly over the last couple of years, people are moving house more frequently. We're just churning across from location to location. That means we're not able to put down roots as deeply in our community and have that connection. The latest census data shows that the number one health condition Australians are living with is mental health, as Raewyn and Colette will know so well. And so that tells us that something's not going as well as it could with our connection. And you add to that, technology, which can be helpful, but as Colette said, it's not always. It can get in the way of that skin-to-skin true connection. And we ran our own study recently on this and found very surprisingly, startlingly, that 1 in 6 Australians say that they have never been part of a flourishing community. Wow. And a similar number, 4 million Australians in this study, they said that they feel lonely often. Out of all the options, they chose often. So that tells us there's a lot to be done, and through these various connections in our society, if we're proactive, we can help heal some of that challenge and create the engagement that our community so much needs.
Yeah, and there's plenty of ways you can find that. And I know, Raewyn, with sport, that's something that has been a long-standing part of our cultural community, the way that we connect with one another. When you look at sport, what is it about that, do you think, that really brings people together in such a unique way?
Well, I think we all just want to be together, don't we? We're Aussies. Culturally, we love sport. And I think one of the things I would say to even the panel is, what sport team do you go for?
Oh,
Yeah, you would all have one, wouldn't you?
We would.
Yeah.
You have to think hard about it.
And I even know Colette because our daughters played netball together and we met on the sidelines as mums.
Right. So when we talk about how to create a healthy community then, Colette, as a mum, as a psychologist, as a teacher, you're working across quite a few different spaces. How do you form healthy connection and community?
So that's going to look different, I think, if you're an introvert or an extrovert, or as psychologists love to create new terms, ambiverts. An introvert is someone who isn't necessarily shy, they just need more downtime, and an extrovert is someone who really gets their energy from people. So community is going to look very different for you if you're an introvert or an extrovert. So I don't think there's rules around it, but I really think it's about finding ways that you can connect with people you care about, people in your community, either through shared interests or sport or a hobby. It's really got to be something that works for you and for your community.
And would you say, Mark, for the Australians that felt like that was lacking in their life, is that what's missing, that idea of having a like-minded person that you can spend time with, or is it something else?
It is. It's that authentic, genuine engagement. And this is the challenge that we have as Australians when we go to solve this problem of being alone or lonely or feeling disconnected. Is the number one place that Australians say they go to for community is the shopping centre. It's the food court, it's the cafe. Now that's okay, but if all it is congregating, just vicariously feeling that there are other people around as I eat my meal by myself, that's not true community. There's another C beyond that, and that is the word that Colette was using, connect. And so that's actually doing life, it's engaging, it's being authentic, it's sharing, and it's being a bit open. And probably there's a third aspect of community that I see, and that is to contribute. Because communities are at their best when we're looking out for others, not just being served, but serving, making a contribution. Volunteering is up in Australia, and I'm happy to see that. You know, compared to other countries, about 1 in 5 Australians volunteers. Now, because of the last few years of lockdowns and other things, it's been a bit impaired, but that does show that we value contributing and engaging with others, helping others, rather than just meeting our own needs by connecting with others alone.
And that makes me think straight away of Sports Chaplaincy, which is a volunteer-based initiative. In the communities that you're working with, what do you think it is about that dynamic, whether it's from a chaplaincy point of view or just observing sport teams, that makes it a healthy community? Why is it so engaging?
I think it's engaging because we care. People want to have that shared sense of care for each other, and they have this sense of, I want to have a purpose in going out, you know, to a sport. A lot of parents end up coaching. You know, I chaplained my own daughter's netball club. That's how I found the chaplaincy space in the first place. I didn't play sport. You know, does it look like I play sport? It's one of those funny things where you go, I'm a mum and I care enough. My daughter had anxiety and she wanted a team sport to contribute to help her with that space. And then, of course, as a mum, I wanted to give back to it because I got so much myself.
That speaks so much into young people finding their tribe. You know, some young people don't find their people at school. And I often say to young people, that's okay. You often will find your tribe in interests like sport. And you also speak about, you know, wanting to know someone cares. Community is just someone's actually listening to me. Someone actually cares about my life. I think that's so important.
And if you're that person who's feeling like you don't have enough connection to community, how would you suggest, Colette, that you engage, that you step in to a new environment potentially and find that?
It's fascinating. There's some research that I teach undergrads in social psychology, which we call proximity. And essentially, really, that's what it is, being in a proximal area of somebody else. And you can't make friends or be friends if you aren't in somebody else's area or space. So we've actually got to get ourselves out, as hard as it can be sometimes. You don't need to be the life of the party, but getting out to a sporting community or a musical community or somewhere other than the shopping centre that you can connect with other people and find interests and something common.
Thank you so much for that thought, and thank you all for your contributions. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for joining us today.
If there's a topic that you'd like to see discussed on Helping Hands, visit our website and be in touch. We love talking about the things that make the world a better place.